We're going to go to Sandy next. Barbara has a question about higher education. Barbara, you're on the line with Senator Lee.
Hello, Barbara.
I'm a physician on primary care, and I'm concerned about the cost of college and graduate education, specifically the cost of student loans. The medical students now are coming out of school with $300,000 and $400,000 in debt, and they can't choose primary care because they could never pay it off. I was wondering why the rate has to be so high at 7% when you can get a mortgage or car loan for 3 or 4%.
Okay, great question, Barbara. The short answer to your question is that the reason it's that high is that the federal government decided to consolidate all of the lending authority with respect to students so that it alone could control it, so that it could borrow that money from the holders of U.S. bonds. We could borrow at one rate, a lower rate, say 2%, and then lend it back out at, say, 7%. The federal government skims off that difference and puts it into the federal treasury to pay for our bloated federal spending programs. Now, this is wrong, especially because it's tantamount to earning a profit on the backs of poor students who are forced into a system that they can't seem to get around. It's a bad system and one that needs to come to an end. The federal government certainly ought not have a monopoly on lending to students, and it needs to end. I've developed another solution that would help us get to the place where we need to be. In addition to ending the federal monopoly on student lending, we also need to enact real reform in the area of higher education. And that's why I've developed legislation that would help get at this problem by allowing each state the option of developing its own accreditation system, a system whereby states would be free to credit things like massive open online courses, certain vocational training programs, and other programs that can help reduce the cost of a higher education. We would be introducing new competition into an area, higher education, where competition is badly needed. And if there's one thing we know about competition, Barbara, it's that it tends to increase the quality of the service being offered, and it also tends to, in addition to increasing the quality, it tends to reduce the cost. So with these two measures, one, getting the federal government out of the business of declaring itself to hold a monopoly on higher education student lending, and the other, reforming our higher education accreditation system and lending program, I think we can bring down costs significantly so that the problems you described won't be quite so pronounced, and so that America's students can still get a high quality higher education without having to be saddled with such an enormous burden of debt.